InnerQuest explores various pathways through which you can connect with the infinite wisdom of the universe and apply it to personal, professional, and spiritual growth. This program, featuring accomplished practitioners, educators, and authors, is provided by Infinity Foundation, an innovative center for holistic studies and research. We invite you to share this journey with us.
Welcome to InnerQuest. My name is Jay Stone, your host today, and our guest is Paul William Zavagno. Welcome, Paul.
Thanks, Jay. It's glad to be here.
Let me tell you a little bit about Paul. Paul grew up in California and was a teacher and principal for over 30 years. He retired in June 2007 and since then has worked as an interim school principal. And I believe you worked in our viewing audience.
Several different places. I was at Northbrook Junior High for a year, and last year at Indian Trail School in Highland Park, and this year I'll be at Greenbrier School in Northbrook.
Good. I hope some of the parents of the students are watching, get an idea of just how good of a person you are. Paul teaches classes and seeing private clients as a facilitator for the work of Byron Katie. Please tell our audience what the work of Byron Katie is.
Well, Jay, the work of Byron Katie is a very simple but profound method of identifying and then questioning the thoughts that cause stress in our lives. Yeah.
And is there something wrong with stress?
For most people, there is, yeah. Most people find stress undesirable and are looking for ways to relieve it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I say there's such a thing as eustress, there's the good stress, according to Hans Selye.
And if you're feeling good stress, then there's no need to question it or try to relieve yourself of it. But this would be referring to the stress that's causing problems.
Okay. And so how does one... does Byron Katie have a method for identifying the different stresses?
It's a method of inquiry. It's called the work, and it's a very simple method. There's 4 questions that you ask once you identify a thought that's causing stress. You ask yourself these 4 questions, or you can work with a facilitator, such as myself, to ask you the 4 questions. You answer the 4 questions, and you experience some relief of stress.
What happens if it's not a particular thought, but it's a feeling, or it's an illness or an injury that causes stress?
Well, typically what we would do is start with that feeling. Feelings are a wonderful place. They're sort of an alarm clock to signal us that something's wrong, something's going on. It's not the way we want it to be. And so once we identify that feeling, whether that's from an injury or it's an emotional feeling, then we'd look for the thoughts that are underneath that.
Now, have you ever adapted, well, first of all, can Byron Katie's work be adapted to children?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And have you ever used it on children?
Yes, I've worked with individual children and I've worked with groups of children as well.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
And what age can you start doing the work with children?
Really at any age, as long as kids are verbal and they can answer the questions, understand and answer the questions. Typically my experience is around 6, 7 years old they're able to do it.
Okay. And then you said that you did it in a group. What exactly are you doing with a group?
Well, it may be my classes, for example, are often in groups. So the concepts of the work can be introduced in groups, and people can learn about how it works. They can learn how to use the 4 questions, how to identify thoughts. The work is individual work, though, ultimately. You're identifying your own stressful thoughts and then asking the questions and working through the process on your own.
Okay. And so how does someone go about doing the work?
Well, the work is simply 4 questions, so I can give you the 4 questions. It's very simple to learn.
Like Passover, there's 4 questions.
There's 4 questions. It's a different 4 questions, but 4 questions to remember nonetheless. First question is it true? So let's say we identified a stressful thought like, my partner should listen to me. She should listen to me. Okay. And she's not. I'm feeling that she's not. So the first question I would ask is,
I think I interviewed
is it
your
true?
partner.
You probably have.
Yeah.
Was she listening to me? Cheryl,
yeah.
Was she listening to me at the time? I don't know. So if I had the thought that she wasn't listening to me and she should, the first question I would ask is it true?
Okay.
that she's not listening to me.
So if it's not true, Cheryl, or the person was
The
listening,
person, right.
and that would end the stress right there.
It could, and
Yeah.
we would recommend going through the 4 questions anyway. You
Okay.
might discover, because that particular question, is it true, is a yes or no question. So is the second one, by the way. And whether it's yes or no, either answer is correct, is what's right for you as an individual. If you felt your partner wasn't listening to you, you would answer yes. If you really looked inside and you felt they were, you'd answer no, and we'd move on to question 2. Question 2 is, can you absolutely know that it's true? In this case, that my partner's not listening to me. Can I absolutely know that? It might look that way.
Yeah.
I might look at them and see them yawning or rolling their eyes or turning and looking the other way. Can I absolutely know that they're not listening to me? So that's
Okay.
question 2. Again, it's a yes or no question. Either answer is okay. We just want to find out what's true for us inside. And then we
Okay.
go to question 3,
Okay.
which is, how do I react when I believe that thought? So what happens in my life when I believe my partner's not listening to me? How do I treat my partner? How do I treat myself? What anxiety might come up in me? What physical feelings? What addictions might kick in? Is that when I reach for the ice cream or the TV remote or a drink or those kinds of things? We'd look at all of those different aspects under question 3. How do I react, or what happens when I believe that thought? And then question 4 is, who would I be without that thought? What if I was in the exact same situation, my partner is exactly who she is, listening, not listening, and if I didn't have the thought that she should be listening to me, who would I be? And we really look at, how would that be physically for me? How would I treat the other person? How would I treat myself under those circumstances?
Well, it seems very simple.
It does. It is simple to learn.
Okay.
And it takes some practice to really get good at it, to get good and flexible in your thinking. But anybody with an open mind can really do it.
Yeah, and then I assume that once you get the methodology, you can do it on yourself.
That's absolutely right. You can work with someone to do it. You can do it on yourself. We recommend in the beginning, if you are going to do it on yourself, you do it in writing. We have some worksheets that people can use that have the 4 questions on it, have the sub-questions, and guide people through that process.
Well, in the parking lot, I saw your card had the license plates are isness.
Isness,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What is that all about?
Well, my business is called Isness is My Business. And isness is the state of being totally present to what is. And the work is really an attempt to be totally present to what is also. When you've done the work for a while, you discover that what is the way it should be. And the only stress and problem comes when you argue with that.
And why is it called the work?
The work is Byron Katie's shorthand term for this method of inquiry, asking these 4 questions. And then there's one other part to it called the turnarounds, which are a way of experiencing the opposite of the original thought.
And how do you do that?
Well, for example, if you had the thought, my partner should be listening to me, one turnaround would be the negation of that. My partner shouldn't be listening to me. So you'd look at that opposite, that turnaround, and you'd try to find 3 examples, concrete, specific examples in your life where it was true that your partner shouldn't listen to you. Another turnaround would be what we call a turnaround to the other. So instead of my partner should be listening to me, it becomes I should be listening to my partner. Can you find the truth of that in your experience, where you should be listening more to your partner? And then another turnaround is the turnaround to yourself. In this case, if the original was my partner should be listening to me, I should be listening to me. And where in my life should I be listening to me?
Now, Byron Katie was honored by Infinity Foundation.
Yes, she was here in May. Wonderful.
And you also attended her workshop.
Absolutely.
And all-day workshop?
It was an all-day workshop she gave here, yeah.
And what exactly do you do in a workshop?
In the workshop with her, well, this was a one-day workshop. She also has weekend experiences and a 9-day school.